Dear students, Eons tries an O level part 6. I think this is going to be the last part for this chapter because a few pages are left only. So let us begin with the last part, and after this I will upload one video of the whole chapter in a dramatized form. So that is, I think, very useful for you. So must watch it. And one MCQ I have prepared for this chapter that I will share with you. Okay, so now let me start. Evans tries an O level part 6. One of the worst things, funny really, had been the beard. He had always been allergic to sticking plaster, and even now his chin was irritatingly sore and red. The receptionist was not the same girl who had booked him in, but the change was definitely for the better. As he collected his key, he gave her his best smile, told her he would not be bothering with breakfast, ordered the Daily Express, and asked for an early morning call at 6:45 a.m. Tomorrow was going to be another busy day. Allergic means sensitive, bother means concerned about. Explanation. One of the worst things that seemed funny to him was using a false beard. Here, him refers to Evans, yes. He was sensitive to the sticking materials, but he had to use it for sticking up the beard. It was now irritating him as it had reddened his chin and he was feeling pain there. When he reached the reception counter, he found that it was not the same girl which was there at the time of his booking, but he thought that this change was good. He then told her that he is not concerned about morning breakfast, and he ordered a newspaper named Daily Express and asked to wake him up at 6:45 a.m. as the next day was another busy day for him. There is one small change here. This is actually a kind of, yes, this line here. So when he reached the reception counter, he found that it was not the same girl. So actually earlier it was full stop after counter, but because it is a clause starting with when, so it should be continued. When he reached the reception counter, he found that it was not the same girl. And here it is also not suitable. You can make it she here. Okay, she was not the same girl. Okay, so these are the corrections. Let us carry on. He whistled softly to himself as he walked up the broad stairs. He had sort of liked the idea of being dressed up as a minister, dog collar, and everything. Yeah, yes, it had been a jolly good idea for McLeody to wear two black fronts, two collars. But that top collar? Phew! It had kept on slipping off the back stud, and there had been that one panicky moment when McLeary had only just got his hand up to his neck in time to stop the collars springing apart before Stephens. Ah, they would they had got that little problem worked out all right, though a pin stuck in the mouth whenever the evil eye had appeared at the peephole. Easy, but all that fiddling about under the blanket with the black front and the stud at the back of the collar, that had been far more difficult than they had ever bargained for. Everything else had gone beautifully smoothly, though in the car He had found everything they had promised him: soap and water, clothes, the map. Yes, the map, of course. The Ordnance Survey map of Oxfordshire. He had got some good friends. Some were very clever friends. Christ, ah. Panic here means fear or alarm. Fiddling means petty annoying. Bargain means here planned for. Explanation. He was climbing up the broad stairs while whistling. Evans was once again lost in his thoughts. He liked being dressed up like a minister. The dog collar and other things. He thought it to be good idea that McCleary was wearing two collars, two fronts. He thought it to be good idea that McCleary was wearing two collars, two fronts, but the top collar was slipping off again and again. But there was a moment of great fear when McCleary tried to stop his collar from falling down with his finger in front of Stephens. They had somehow solved the problem by always keeping a pen in his mouth whenever Stephens peeked inside. There was a little annoying moment while he was trying to wear black front and the stud at the back collar. That was difficult for him. Otherwise, things went well. He got everything in the car which they had promised him: soap, water, and a map. The Ordnance Survey map of Oxfordshire. He thought that he had got some good and clever friends. He unlocked his bedroom door and closed it quietly behind him, and then stood frozen to the spot like a man who has just caught a glimpse of the jargon. Sitting on the narrow bed was the very last man in the world that Evans had expected or wanted to see. "It's not worth trying anything," said the governor quietly, as Evans' eyes darted desperately around the room. "I have got men all round the place." "Well, there are only two, really," but Evans need not know that. He let the word sink in. "Women too. Did not you think the blonde girl in reception was rather sweet?" So glimpse here means quick look. Jargon means fierce. Darted means moved quickly. Desperately means hopeless. Explanation. Evans unlocked his room, and when he turned back after shutting the door, he was shocked to see someone in his room. He stood there lifeless. He had a quick look at the fierce looking man whom he had never expected in his room. It was the governor. Evans looked around hopelessly. Governor tells him that there is no use of it, as he had his men all around. He was also shocked at the thought of the blonde girl at the reception who was extra sweet to him. As you can see, I have added something here. GORGON. Actually, G is here capital. Capital means it is a proper noun. And I checked it just now, and it is not jargon but actually gorgon. Gorgon here is Greek mythology word. Any of three winged sister monsters and the mortal Medusa who had live snakes for hair. Who had live snakes for hair. A glance at Medusa turned the beholder to stone. So, in that reference, this word GORGON, Gorgon, is used here. Okay. So, glimpse of the Gorgon means glimpse of the monsters. Okay. Evans was visibly shaken. He sat down slowly in the only chair the small room could offer and held his head between his hands. For several minutes there was a utter silence. Finally he spoke. It was that bloody correction slip. The governor failed to mask the deep satisfaction in his voice. There are few people who know a little German. Slowly, very slowly, Evans relaxed. He was beaten and he knew it. He sat up at last and managed to smile ruefully. You know, it was not really a mistake. You see, we had not been able to fix up any hotel, but you could have worked that some other way, no? The really important thing was for the phone to ring just before the exam finished to get everyone out of the way for a couple of minutes. So we had to know exactly when the exam started, did not we? My dear students, here you can see this part is very dramatical because Evans was right now also not caught. Yes, this was his plan B, according to which he is now working. So don't think that he is caught. He is still trying to fool the governor. Let us enjoy and carry on. Shaken means disturbed, ruefully means sorrow. Evans looked disturbed. He held his head in his hands and it was silence for a few minutes. Evans then said that it was correction slip he guessed. The governor told him that there are some people who know German. Evans then relaxed over some time and explained that it was not an actual mistake. As you can see, the mistake was that they were not able to decide about the hotel, which they could have worked in some other way. He asserted that it was necessary for them to know the exact time at which the paper started so that they could make a call exactly before the end of the exam in order to get a clear way for McLeary. And like a fool, I presented you with a little piece of information on a plate. Well, somebody did. So you see, sir, that correction slip killed two birds, little birds, with a single stone. Did not it? The name of the hotel for me and the exact time the exam started for the governor nodded. It's a pretty common word. Good job. That is pretty common, sir. Or I had never have known where to come to, would I? Nice name, though, Zum Gulden Logan. How did you know which golden lion it was? There are hundreds of them. Same as you, Evans. Index number 313, center number 271. Remember? 6 figures. And if you take an ordnance survey map of Oxfordshire, you'll find that the 6-figure reference 313271 lands you bang in the middle of Chipping Norton. Explanation. The governor admitted that he had provided the information to him foolishly. Evans said that correction slip gave him both the hotel name and the time of exam. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Governor agreed to it. Evans then queried how did he come to know that he was staying in which Golden Lion hotel, as there were hundreds of them. Governor said the index number 313 and center number 271 were the 6-figure reference of the survey map for Oxfordshire, which brought us in the middle of Chipping Norton. You are right. Yeah. We had hoped you would run off to Newbury. Oh, we did. Well, that is something, I suppose. That question paper, Evans. Could you really understand all that German? I could hardly. Nah, of course I could not. I knew roughly what it was all about, but we just hope it would throw a few spanners in the works. Throw a few spanners in the work means to confuse. Sort of muddle everybody a bit. The governor stood up. Tell me one thing before we go. How on earth did you get all that blood to pour over your head? Evans suddenly looked a little happier Clever, sir, very clever. That was how to get a couple of pins of blood into a cell. Ah, when there is none there to start off with, and when the invigilator, shall we say, gets searched before he comes in. Yes, sir, you can well ask about that, and I don't know if I ought to tell you. After all, I might want to use that particular. Spanner means a sharp tool, muddle means to confuse, and pinch means unit of liquid. Explanation. Evans said that he was right. He added they thought they thought that he would go to Newbury. Governor said that yes, we had. He asked Evans whether he was able to understand the question paper on the governor, as the governor was not able to understand it. Evans said no, he was not, but they did it to confuse everyone. The governor then stood up and asked him from where he got blood to pour on his head. Evans felt happy to hear this and said that it was a clever thing to bring blood into the cell. He then revealed that when invigilator was being searched before exam, he then stopped telling him anything so that he could use it in future too. Anything to do with a little rubber ring for piles, perhaps? Evans grinned feebly. Clever, though, wasn't it? Must have been a tricky job sticking a couple of pins. Nah, you have got it wrong, sir. No problem about that. No, nah, it is the clotting. You see, that is the big trouble. We got the blood easy enough. Pig's blood, it was from the slaughter's house in the Kidlington. But to stop it clotting, you have got to mix your actual blood. Evans took a breath. With 1/10 of its own volume of 3.8% trisodium citrate. Did not know that. Did not you, sir? The governor shook his head in a token of reluctant admiration. We learn something new every day, they tell me. Come on, my lad. Evans made no show of resistance, and side by side the two men walked slowly down the stairs. Grin means smile, clotting, harden, reluctant, unwilling, admire, praise, and resist means withstand. Explanation. The governor guessed it to be rubber ring for piles. Evans smiled weakly and said it was a clever thing. Governor pointed out it to be a tough thing, which Evans felt it not to be so tough. Governor queried, wasn't it? Evans said the main problem was to prevent it from hardening. He tells him that they got pig blood easily from meat shop in Kidlington and said that one has to mix his own blood to stop it from hardening. Evans took a break and said that he mixed 3.8% of trisodium citrate to prevent it from clotting. Governor shook his head, though he did not want to praise him. He said that they learn new things every day. He then took Evans with him and walked down the stairs. Tell me, Evans, how did you manage to plan all these business? You have had no visitors. I have seen to that. You have had no letters. I have got lots of friends though. What's that supposed to mean? My German teacher, for a start. You mean? But he was from the technical college. Was he? Evans was almost enjoying it all now. Ever checked up on him, sir? God Almighty! There is far more going on than I always will be, sir. Everything ready? Asked the governor as they stood by the reception desk. The van is out the front, sir, said the pretty blonde receptionist. Evans winked at her, and she winked back at him. It almost made his day. A silent prison officer handcuffed the recaptured Evans, and together the two men clambered awkwardly into the back seat of the prison van. See you soon, Evans. It was almost as if the governor were saying farewell to an old friend after a cocktail party. Cheerio, sir. I I was just wondering. I know your German's pretty good, sir, but do you know any more these modern languages? Not very well. Why? Handcuff means to shackle, or a shackle means to handcuff. Clambered means climb, and awkward means unease, feeling uneasy. Explanation. Governor asked him how he planned that as he had no visitors or letters for him. He replied that he had many friends. Even his German teacher was his friend. Governor surprisingly said that the teacher was from technical college. Evans questioned whether he had ever verified it. The receptionist said that the van was ready. Both Evans and the receptionist winked at each other. Evans was then shackled by the prison officer, and they both climbed the van. The governor said bye in a way as he was bidding him farewell. Evans asked him whether he knew any other language. The governor asked him what the reason behind that was. Evans settled himself comfortably on the back seat and grinned happily. Nothing really. I just happened to notice that you have got some O level Italian classes coming up next September. That's all. Perhaps you won't be with us next September, Evans. James Roderick Evans appeared to ponder the governor's words deeply. No, perhaps I won't, he said. As the prison van turned right from Chipping Norton on to the Oxford Road, the hitherto silent prison officer unlocked the handcuffs and leaned forward towards the driver. For Christ's sake, get a move on. It won't take them long to find out. Where do you suggest we make for? Asked the driver in a broad Scots accent. What about Newbury? Suggested Evans. Explanation. Evans sat back on his seat comfortably and happily replied that he asked so because he came to know that there would be O-level Italian classes coming up next September. The governor assured him that he would not be with them by September. Evans thought for a while and said, "Yes, maybe." Soon the van turned right from the Chipping Norton onto the Oxford Road. The silent prison officer removed his handcuffs and asked the driver to drive fast. The driver asked about where to go in his Scotch accent. Evans suggested him to go to Newbury. So in this way, at last, Evans was able to escape once again with the help of his friends who were now pretending to be the prison officer and the driver. So dear students, you must have enjoyed it. And now in the next video you'll watch the whole drama, and after that, as I promised, MCQ. Okay, till then, bye.